Question number 1. What advice would you give for people navigating through today's dating pool to rediscover and or find love with that special someone? So what advice would I give for people dating today? Hire slow, fire quick. I use that business terminology to echo the sentiments of what an employer does when they're looking for an employee to come in and to fulfill the responsibilities of a job that they've designated as necessary in order for their business to achieve success. Well, it's the same thing in relationships. You have to be mindful of who it is you allow access to you. And you have to do the research to see if whether or not the person that you're allowing access to you, you have to do the research to find out if whether or not they're qualified to do what it is you need or live up to the expectation that you have. So when you place a demand on them to do and to be, they can actually do that. Everybody's not possessed with the power to love you the way that you need to be loved. They're not possessed with the power, the presence, the promise, and or the person to love you the way that you need to be loved. So you cannot allow everybody to come in. So you have to have some kind of system of discernment and system of discipline on your behalf. Discernment means your ability to be able to read and recognize the posturing position of an individual and what it is they bring or what it is they can contribute or what it is they can't contribute to your life. Put people in positions, the right positions. If somebody is unqualified to be, don't put them in a position to do something that you need a qualified person to do. Check their credentials, see if whether or not they can do. Look at their friends, look at the associations that they keep. Make sure whoever it is they tell you they are is a reflection of the person that they show you they are. And then trust people when they show you who they really are. So that's important. One thing that I learned throughout the years is making sure that I can identify why this person is in my life. Are you here to be my friend? Are you here? Is there something we're supposed to be more? And there were times in my life where I put people in positions, whether it be my girlfriend, I would put people in these roles of position, and they weren't supposed to be that. We were only supposed to be friends, but I placed a demand on them to be something for me that they couldn't. Why? Because I was undisciplined. I had this crush or I had this liking upon them, but that's not what it is we were supposed to be. So you have to be disciplined enough to understand no matter how good it looks, doesn't necessarily mean that that's the posturing position that that person is supposed to have when it comes to you. Maybe they're not supposed to be your girl. Maybe y'all just supposed to be friends. And you have to be able to accept that, because ultimately we all want what's best for us. And sometimes what we see immediately is the thing that we think is best. Then we come to discover after so many times of hiring somebody on and being slow to fire them or being slow to let them go so that they can discover what it is they have for them, we come into conflict. So be mindful of that. When you're out here, be careful. Be careful. Be able to read, discern not only the room of the people that you're in, but discern yourself. Also make sure that you find spaces that with people that are like-minded, people who have the same idea with regard to relationships that you have, because dating for everybody is not the same. Some people date, what is your goal and objective? What is your attitude of approach when it comes to dating? Are you dating because you're looking for a long-term relationship? Are you dating just because you want to bang, you want to have sex, or you want to be a freak? Are you dating somebody or looking for somebody to help you get over the last person that you were with? You have to make sure you understand, because ultimately it doesn't matter what you say, but you will attract to yourself what it is you are. Doesn't matter what you say. And a lot of people say a lot of great things. This is what I want. But you have to be disciplined enough within yourself to be a recipient and to be able to receive what it is you want. And you have to posture yourself that way. So you have to make sure that you're right. So be able not only to read the room, but be able to read yourself, your emotional well-being, your state of mind, the true reality and authenticity of your thought, what it is you really want. Is what it is I'm saying, echoing a reality of what it is I really desire. And be honest with yourself, because you're gonna find what it is you really want. So that's the advice I would give for dating. I think that you need to be careful. You need to fire quick. If somebody's not qualified to do the job, don't sit there and give them all this time. let them go. But you need to do your research before you turn somebody from a potential, turn them into a friend first, then turn them into a companion. So be mindful of that. That's my advice. All right, question number 2. This is a good one. Is it possible to satisfy a woman's sexual appetite without stimulating her mind first? I just gotta say that again. Is it possible to satisfy a woman's sexual appetite without stimulating her mind first? Great question. So, men, can you provide the woman that you're with the sexual nutrition she requires in order for her to be satisfied? Can you provide her with the sexual? Because healthy appetite is what we want to get to. We want to make sure we have to be able to look at how it is she was participating in these sexual behaviors. You know, we have to look at the history and be able to reflect back on the history to understand how it is she got to the point that she's at with regard to the appetite she has. And we have to make sure that we gauge it to become a healthy appetite. You have to figure out whether or not you're possessed with the power, promise, person, and presence to be able to provide her with what it is she needs. So you have to find somebody with a similar appetite that you have, or somebody, you know, when it comes to dietary issues, different things like that, if you're a vegan, you probably want to date somebody that's a vegan. Not necessarily, it doesn't always happen that way, but you want to find somebody who has a similar pattern of behavior with regard to how it is they function with regard to whatever particular element or concept that you're talking about. Today we're talking about sexual appetite. So you have to be able to reevaluate, you know, how many times throughout the course of the week does she want it? Does she want it 5 or 6 times? Is that her appetite? How many times can you provide it? You know, can you provide her with that 5 or 6 times, you know, so that she doesn't go looking elsewhere for what it is she placed a demand on you to be able to provide, and you're not able to do that, you know. And you have to make sure that you're capable, not only capable, but that you're okay with that it doesn't require for you to step outside of the element of who it is you are and to pretend to be or try to become somebody you're not, to make sure that she's pleased. Because the whole goal, and as a man, I'm just going to say, there's a difference between satisfaction and pleasure. I want you to understand this, guys, ladies, guys. I need you to understand that if you believe that you're the only person that can provide pleasure for the individual that you currently find yourself with, or any individual that you've ever been with, you are highly mistaken. Because pleasure just means gratification in the moment. Satisfaction is different, because satisfaction is simultaneous. It's when you experience fulfillment in the multiple dimensional layers of attraction. So intellectually, you're fulfilled. At the same time, you're fulfilled sexually, emotionally, spiritually. You know, when you can find a person that's possessed with the ability to make sure, because everybody can't love you the way that you need to be loved. Remember that. Everybody's not possessed with the power to do that. So when you find that person, when that person finds you, then they can make sure that you are good in all those particular areas. And to be fulfilled means you won't have to ask the question after sex, now what? Because you already know what, because you've been fulfilled in all those areas intellectually, you know, the mind, you know, intellectual orgasms. Can you intellectual, spiritual orgasms? I'm talking most people, because you're already thinking about sex, but stimulating a person in that way where it causes them to want to pursue spiritually after the things of God. It causes them to want to have a deeper intimacy with God as a result of their connection with you. Intellectually, it causes them to want to go above and beyond what it is they understand, and to acquire more knowledge and an understanding of the world that they live in with regard to what it is they're supposed to contribute to the world. These are all the things that come into play. So do I think that a woman can be satisfied sexually, or her appetite can be satisfied? No. I think that your intellectual prowess will stimulate her to get her excited before you get to the bedroom. Think about this. The one thing that is important, can you stimulate, or can you cause a woman to have multiple orgasms intellectually without touching her? See, this is a higher level of, you know, gratification that we haven't experienced yet. And guess what? The best orgasm is going to be the one where you are fulfilled in all those different areas at the same time. Most people, matter of fact, 95% of people have never experienced that. You've never experienced that climax where you're like, your mind, your emotions, your body, your spirituality, your spiritual context, your connection, all those things come together. And if you never experienced that, you've never experienced the beauty of, becoming one. You never experienced the beauty of true intimacy. So no, do I believe it's possible? No, I don't believe it's possible. I believe in order for a woman's appetite to be satisfied sexually, you have to be able to stimulate her mind intellectually. All right, here's another question. What does it mean when a guy chooses to go out with his friends at the expense of spending time with his girl? So I think it's, what does it mean when a guy chooses to go out more with his friends at the expense of spending more time with his girl? What does that mean? So this is a question about value and priority. And it also gets back to that discernment and discipline. Being able to provide or supply whatever the demand is for the individual that you're with. Now, every relationship is different. So when it comes to spending more time with a friend than you spend with your significant other, I think that's off. So that's a revelation of a lot of things. One is it explores or explains a level of immaturity on his part, because a man's role and responsibility is to be able to recognize. I talked about reading the room, being able to understand where it is you are and what it is you need at that particular time, and responding accordingly. Now, I'm not saying that he shouldn't spend time with his friends, but there's no way possible that any man can explain why he would spend more time with a friend than he spends with what the individual he's with, the female he's with, why she would, someone that presumes themselves to be his significant companion. So that reveals that maybe you're not. Maybe you have categorized yourself as something that he doesn't see you in the light of. So you might want to take that into consideration. Maybe you believe that you are. Maybe he has somebody else. And maybe he's using the friend's ploy and plot to suggest that, hey, this is what I'm doing to cover what it is he's really doing. And these are all the things. And I would reverse that. Fellas, how would you feel if a female spent more time with her friends than she spent with you? Like I said, there's nothing wrong with spending time with your friends, but if you're spending more time with them and less time with a person that you have, basically come into a relationship with, some type of covenant with, especially if you're married, even if you're not married, if you're dating and trying to get to know one another, you don't want to allow a lot of outside voices to come into what it is that's going on with you. And if there's a deeper level of intimacy with a group of people than there is with you, maybe that's something that you need to reevaluate. Check his friends, that's something I always say as well. I have to see what your friends are like in order for me to understand, because your friends are a mirror reflection of the person that you are. If they're drinking, smoking, doing a lot of other things, then that's a mirror reflection of the person that you are, especially if that's something that you do. And then you bring that negativity and energy into the house, things that could, mess with your mind, cause you to act out of character, because a lot of people are under the illusion that they have control because they can do something, not realizing that thing that they do actually takes control of them and maneuvers and manipulates them to become people that they're not. So I don't know, maybe there's some insecurity on his part, but it's not a bad thing. You can spend time with your friends. That's not what I'm saying, but you shouldn't be spending more time with your friends than you spend with the person that you're with. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. And I've heard a lot of people share that with me. They hang out, and maybe there's some insecurities, you have to make sure that you make him feel, let me go back to the woman, make him feel appreciated as well. Maybe he doesn't feel appreciated when he comes into your presence. Maybe there's something about you that's turning him off, that's pushing him toward them. So evaluate yourself. I don't want to put it all on the men, but evaluate yourself. Maybe there's something about you. Maybe he doesn't feel that you are accepting him for who it is he is. So you guys have to evaluate that. You have to look into the eyes of one another and determine if whether or not, you need to be together. Maybe you're just supposed to be friends. Maybe he considers you one of the guys, I don't know, but every situation is different. So you're going to have to be able to discern and work your way, reflect, back on the experiences that the two of you have had, and ask yourself, is there anything that I've done that would cause him to feel that way? And if not, then have that conversation with him and say, hey, what is it we can do? Because you spend a lot of time. I need to know, what is it about me, or what is it about you? That's an honest conversation that grown people have to have, especially when it comes to this issue of dating. And if they're doing that while they're dating, you can only assume that that's going to continue on even if you decide to get married. So your friendship is a reflection of what companionship will look like, or will continue to look like, even if you take it to that next level of marriage. So you have to make sure that you guys deal with those situations early. But once again, that's a situation you would have to evaluate based on your own personal circumstance, because everybody's relationship is different. So